Make every night a wonderful journey, no matter where you are. Good night, sweet dreams. The first story, The Forest Figure. I was so excited for this day. Our school was having a picnic, which it really knew how to do. The picnic was going to be in a large forest about 40 miles from our school. Our school likes to plan faraway trips. Whenever I am going on a vacation or trip, I like to find out every single fact about it. It turns out this forest's history dates back for over 500 years. It was inhabited by a Native American tribe who was known for its worship of evil spirits. When the settlers came in, the natives did not take kindly to them. When the diseases brought in by the settlers killed many of the tribe's people, they cursed the forest and the settlers the next day. The tribe was gone, and all of the settlers were either dead or missing. The one that survived lived for another week before committing suicide. The story goes on to tell of loggers who came in about 100 years later, and all died in mysterious accidents and murders. I am not superstitious. I did not believe in any of these curses. That morning when I woke up, I went into the kitchen as usual and had my cereal. At about 6:30, my mom came and told me that the picnic was cancelled. The bus that was taking us there was having engine trouble. I asked her if she found that weird, and she said it happens all the time. I thought about it but brushed it off. My mother came back to inform me that they found a replacement bus at the last minute. I was overjoyed. We could finally go and have some time doing something other than math problems and English homework. The bus finally showed up and I got on for some reason. They had the freshmen and seniors on the same trip. The seniors were almost evil. There were rumors of freshman faces being shoved in toilets and urinals and freshmen being locked in car trunks for as many of 2 or 3 days. I was worried about this. About 20 miles into the ride, our bus got a flat tire. We found that the bus had a spare underneath, so the seniors sent me to retrieve it as I grabbed the tire and got out. I saw something out of my peripheral vision aim and standing about 1/4 of a mile away. He seemed to be motioning to go back. I focused on him, but then he vanished into the mist. We replaced the tire and continued driving. We finally got there and talked to the woman at the visitor center. She handed us each a brochure on the history of the park. Oddly enough, it never once mentioned the old tribes of Indians, loggers, or settlers. It just said that its history spanned from about 50 years ago to the present. We got out and set up the picnic. I hung around my usual friends, and we did everything in our power to avoid the seniors. The picnics were okay. They provide time away from school, so we all liked them. After it was finished, we were informed the bus broke down again, and in the morning a few mechanics would come and fix it. That meant we would be spending the night on the bus. That worried me. There is no way those seniors would pass up an opportunity to prank us. So as night fell, my group would keep 2 people on watch, and we would rotate every hour and a half, of course. The first to fall asleep within the first 2 minutes. Here we were, in a haunted forest, with seniors ready to scare us. I woke up and checked my watch. 2:30. A note on my chest read, "Have fun, seniors." I was extremely angry, but my anger turned to fear. There was something about this forest, the tall, leafless trees, the dark, foggy distance, the wind, my God, the wind. I kept hearing it as though it were saying, "Be afraid." I kept hearing it. It wouldn't leave my head. "Shut up," I screamed. "Who are you?" I kept seeing movement from the corner of my eye. I ran. I didn't know which way I was going, but I didn't care. Then in the distance there stood a tall, thick, and moving figure. It was all black except for the eyes. The eyes, they were an ominous blood red. It moved, it walked in an odd, disturbing strut. I ran. I could see the shadow of the trees swayed with the wind, as if they were alive. I tripped, it was gone. I saw a small cottage in the distance. I had no choice. I ran towards it and took shelter in it. Was I going insane? Or did I really see that creature? I was in a small room. The cottage looked old. Its floorboards creaked and its doors squeaked. It was horrible. Then I heard a deep, heavy breathing outside the window. Then the window began to rattle. After 30 seconds it stopped. I decided I would wait out the night, even travel back in the morning. But then I heard a pounding on the door. I couldn't stay here any longer. I dove out the window and cut myself on some of the glass. I ran for some time until I looked behind me. The creature was there again, moving faster. I ran till I found where the bus was, but it wasn't there, neither was the visitor center. I sat down and I felt a cold breath on my neck, then a hand on my shoulder. I closed my eyes and began praying. The second story, test chamber 319. The following is a series of journal entries from a 12-year-old Jewish girl. She was captured by the Nazis and experimented on this as her story. Dear Journal, I was captured by the Nazis 2 days ago. They stole me from my parents and put me in a box. They put the box in a train heading towards Berlin. They barely fed me when I was finally let out of the box. I was skin and bones. I hadn't seen the light of day in a while, so I was blinded as they carried me into the laboratory. All I could see was a massive structure. Once they had me inside, they secured me to a chair next to 3 other girls my age. Then they briefed us on what was to come. They said, we are test subjects. We are going to be used to test everything from medication to stimuli. Then they put us all in a room where we would be living for, as the scientist put it, as long as you can be of assistance to the Reich. When they searched us, they didn't find my journal. Either that or they just wanted to see what I would write. Either way, I am going to write everything that happens in this notebook. Dear Journal, Day 1 of testing seemed very odd. Instead of giving us pills, serums, or gas, they just did seemingly silly things like drip water on our forehead. Granted, we all cried uncontrollably, but I believe we were all just homesick and scared. We did not use names in the laboratory, but test subject 527 went ballistic mid-test. She started screaming and thrashing as if she was possessed by Satan. 528 remarked. 527. More like 666. I stifled a laugh, but one of the Nazi dogs heard me and rapped my knuckles with his baton. 525 didn't laugh, but she was hit too. And 526, by the way. Hopefully when this all ends, I can tell you my real name, but I'm not going to risk it now. If the officers find me using my real name in any way, they will beat me mercilessly. They won't even tell us why. Dear Journal, 527 kept pacing around the room last night. She kept muttering things like, there has to be a way out, and I will make them pay with their blood. Sometimes she would break her pace and approach one of us and say something like, you're doomed, we are all going to die here. I don't know why she acts this way. 525,528. And I made a silent pact to just cooperate and stay alive until the end of the war. However, 527 must have different plans. The guards tested us again today. We all just sat in a circle bound to chairs, while scientists told us to embrace Hitler in the Third Reich. 527 went insane again. She started screaming in German at the guards. I know little German, and all I understood was kill, fire, and ash. They beat her for what seemed like an eternity, but she wouldn't stop. She just maintained a horribly sinister grin. Eventually, one of the guards gassed her, and she went limp. They then took her seemingly lifeless body into another chamber. A few minutes later, I heard thumping and loud screams echo down the hallways. 528 and I exchanged glances, but we didn't dare say anything. 525 just wept in her chair. A few of the officers left the chamber to check what was the matter. We heard more screaming, and then some German cursing. The officers came back into the room carrying 527. She had woken up and was thrashing about in a very violent manner. She had what looked like a finger in her mouth. They left as quickly as they came in. We didn't hear anything after that. Dear Journal, I awoke today alone in my own room. It was strangely configured for a holding cell. It contained many cabinets and shelves, all of which were empty. When the guard came to retrieve me, he seemed uneasy. Scared even, he was covered in cuts and bruises, even some bite marks. He saw me staring and said, "What are you looking at?" "You? Nothing," I replied, and I kept walking. Today's tests were strangely brutal. We all had to take turns getting whipped, and whenever a whip broke skin, salt was poured into the wound. My back still bleeds from the lashing. 527 was not returned to testing with us. I wonder where she has been placed, or if she is still alive. Dear Journal, we remained in separate cells last night. We have no clocks in our rooms, but I assume it was around 3 a.m. And when I started hearing voices, they were in German, but I managed to understand a girl saying, "Do not resist the Reich. I command you now." That was all I understood. I also heard some strange groaning and thumping, but I figured it was just the guards setting up for today's tests. But there were no tests today. Dear Journal, there were more noises last night. The sounds of men groaning and an insane woman laughing echoed through the halls and corridors. There was more German, but I could barely hear, let alone translate any of it. There were tests today, though while we waited in the group holding chamber, I asked 525 and 528 if they had heard any noises. They said they had, but neither of them spoke any German, just French. Today's test was very strange. They just let us out into the many open corridors and told us to find our way out. They said we would remain in the test until we escaped and found what they call base. They gave us 5 hard rolls, decantines of water, and a cloth. The test still continues as I write this entry. Hopefully we'll get out soon. Dear Journal, we are still trapped in this maze of hallways and corridors. I didn't hear anything last night except for the sobbing of 525. We found some strange documents today. They were in one of the rooms that wasn't locked. The documents contained information on the 3 of us and 527. There were French and German copies. I typed them into this journal. Test subject 525. Name, Alice Fitzroy. Gender, female. Nationality, French. Age, 11 years. Weight, 35.2 kg. height 1.4 meters, ailments, none, fears, TBD, reason of capture, Jew, other, cries often, no. Test subject 526, name, Rora Martin, gender, female, nationality French, age 12 years, weight 38.5 kg, height 1.5 meters, ailments none, fears, TBD, reason of capture Jew, mother, TBD, assessed subject 527, name, Anouk Dubois, gender, female, nationality, French, with evidence of a German past, age 13 years, weight 39.6 kg, height 1.7 meters, ailments, prone to fits of violent rage, fears none, reason of capture, insanity, other, possibly possessed, shows no remorse for her actions, says she. The rest of the document was rendered unreadable because of a bloodstain over the text. Test subject 528, name Andrea Moreau, gender, female, nationality French, age 13 years, weight 40 kg, height 1.7 meters, ailments, none, fears, TBD, reason of capture, failure to obey orders, other, TBD. So now we all know each other's names as well as reasons for being here. We also know that 527 Anouk was insane, and someone had bled on her document, probably a guard who had updated her document after he had been attacked by Anouk. Dear Journal, the heater must have failed because we woke up in a very cold state. Again, I heard no noises in the night, but I had strange dreams. Anouk was chasing us and Rhea, and I through the laboratories. She was very fast and covered in blood. Eventually we separated, but Anouk chased me. I woke up before she caught me. The day's events became stranger and stranger as the day went on. When we woke, we had a small meal. We still have 1 canteen and 3 hard rolls left. Alice didn't enjoy being cold and she wept softly, as Maria and I did our best to get warm. We found a thermostat and discovered that it was 10 degrees Celsius. The temperature was survivable but very uncomfortable. We continued until we found it or label base. Of course, we all became very excited and threw ourselves into the room. However, we were very disappointed when we found that it was devoid of human life. In the middle of the room was a typed note that read, "Congratulations on finding your way to test Chamber 319. Girls, please wait until personnel arrive to examine you. They will most likely come during the night, so you may have to wait a while. We are in no state of relief. All this means to us was that the Nazi dogs are soon going to be with us again. However, that is better than freezing to death, so we will wait for them. Dear Journal, 527 is very much alive. You could say she's thriving. I don't know how, but now she controls this building and everything in it. I woke to a horrible sight. Guards were slaughtered all around me. Blood stained everything, even Alice and Rhea and I. I quickly woke the two and they both screamed in horror. Then Anouk came on over the intercom. "Good morning, girl," she said. "I trust you slept well. I am now the leader of this experiment, and I say, base is now a jail you lose." Alice began to cry. "Why, Alice, is that you? Don't cry, sweetie. It's fine that you have lost because we are going to play a new game. Now then, to cheer little Alice up, we are going to play a nice game of tag. Her voice went from kind to sinister. Andimit made Ethly laugh rang over the intercom and then it shut off. Alice continued to cry until Rhea and we were trying to get her on her feet. We are all going to die, she cried. It's no use. Just leave me. She continued to cry when a nauk fell from a duct and landed on her. She began to tear at Alice while she screamed. Y-O-U-L-O-S-E. Y-O-U-L-O-S-E. Blood went everywhere and Alice cried out in pain while Andrea and I bolted for the door. We managed to get out and run, but it wasn't long before Nauk was right behind us. She ran with the speed of a Nazi attack dog. She was about 60 meters behind us, and she was gaining fast. I could see blood in her hair and death in her eyes. She had something in her mouth, most likely a part of Alice, and Rhea slipped and fell. She screamed something like, "Run or I'll try to SDO." I didn't hear anything else except for maniacal laughter and the tearing of flesh. I continued to run and run. I hadn't seen an Nauk for 10 minutes, so I decided to stop and hide in a supply closet. That is where I remain now, as I write what may prove to be my final journal entry. I am so terrified. I just hope that an Nauk doesn't fight. The journal cuts off there. I think it's safe to assume that her died quite painfully. And as for Nauk, well, I can't safely assume anything. This journal was found in the Barenquell Brauerei, a German brewery that has been abandoned. The brewery was repurposed and modified into a testing lab during WWI. Little else is known about the topic. The third story, the baby's room. I'm not sure what to say. This all happened rather suddenly, although the last 3 weeks have been long and dragged out. Let me tell you my story. I moved into my new house 3 weeks ago. I moved here to be closer to my friend, Bailey, whose mother wasn't doing so well. Only part of it was because my boyfriend and I were no longer getting along. There was nothing special about the house. Just a simple two-bedroom house that had an attic. I didn't really know the history of the house, nor did I really care upon moving in. Oh, how I wished I did. It was only myself living there. So I turned the extra bedroom into a study. The bigger bedroom seemed much better for holding my bed and dresser anyway. I spent first week unpacking. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary about the house. No damages needing to be fixed. No leaks made me wonder why the price tag was so low. Surely such a well-made two-bedroom house shouldn't have gone for only $8,000. But that is how much I paid for this house. The real estate agent only said the last family had moved out with their 15-year-old son to be closer to family. Such a plain reason should have warranted more of a search, but I was just happy to have found such a steal. Like I said before, it only took a week to unpack my stuff. Everything was going great. I currently took college classes online, so the study was a great room to have for some peace and quiet. Some strange things started to happen exactly 9 days after I moved in. When I would lay down to sleep, I would hear this moaning sound. It sounded like an animal of some sort. I passed it off as something coming from outside, and ignored as it continued over the next couple of days. However, the day after that, things just got too weird. I woke up to the smell of baby powder. It was faint in my bedroom, but it grew stronger when I entered the hallway. This was very strange, as I didn't own any baby powder, not even any lotion that could have smelled similar. Either. I was a little creeped out, but again dismissed it. The smell went away a few hours later, anyway. I continued through my day, cramming in nearly 3 days of class work into my schedule. While I was writing my report on the biography of Van Gogh, I started hearing a noise like the song you hear coming from an ice cream truck, but it was different soon after. To my horror, I realized what it was: a baby mobile. My older sister had a baby, and the mobile in his crib sounded much the same as the sound I heard. Of course, the tunes were different, but that was definitely what it was. And the freakiest part, it was coming through the wall. But there was nothing next to this room, no bedroom, no bathroom, nothing. I left the study, moving out into the hallway, just as I thought the music stopped, and I shook my head. Okay, maybe I was studying too hard. That had to be it. I was imagining things. For the next week, things returned to normal. Amy came over and we played some video games, and she stayed for dinner. I pulled the baked spaghetti from the oven just as she returned from the bathroom. What kind of music box did you buy? I like the tune it makes. She entered the kitchen, taking a seat at the table. Music box? I parroted. I don't own a music box, I replied, brows drawing up in confusion. Are you sure? I heard this cute little tune, how did it go? She paused for a moment, before humming the tune she had heard, and I almost dropped the spaghetti. The color flushed from my face faster than I could even process what I had just heard. That was the tune the mobile had made. Oh hell, I breathed. I started feeling faint. I placed the spaghetti on the counter, stumbling over to a chair and collapsing into it. Can you get me some water? I asked. I was going to be sick. I just knew it. Sure. May, what's the matter? He moved to get me the water, and I sipped it while waiting on my heartbeat to slow. After finishing half of the glass, I set it down. That tune, I heard it earlier too, I said. It's not a music box, Haley. I don't know what it is. It sounds like a baby mobile, but the family who lived here before me didn't even have a baby. I then began to explain everything about the smell and sounds I'd been hearing. Would you mind staying the night with me? I feel a bit uneasy now, I admitted. I felt relieved when she agreed. We ate dinner and I took a shower while she set up the couch in my room to sleep on. Soon enough, I came back and lent her a pair of my pajamas, and we both turned in for the night. It was around 3 in the morning when Haley woke me. I was instantly awake, but it wasn't due to her prodding fingers. No, instead, I had woken up to the sound of a baby screaming and crying. What the hell? I exclaimed. Haley looked scared. Are you certain you don't have a baby? Do you hear that? May? Oh, I heard it all right. Hey, we have to find out what's going on, or else I won't sleep ever again. I said my mind was made up. I got out of bed, walking out of my room and turning the hallway light on. The screaming was coming from the opposite side of the hall, and I crossed the short distance to listen. The screaming carried on for a few moments longer, then ceased entirely. Get the toolbox from my closet. I may have to pay for the damages, but I won't get any peace of mind until I figure out what the fuck is going on around here. Yes, I'm the kind of girl who keeps her own toolbox. Don't judge. I was tired and shaky, but I couldn't go on like this. I needed to find out what was happening. Haley brought the toolbox over, and I looked through it before pulling my hammer out. I then stood back, swinging the hammer to hit the wall as hard as I could. Nothing happened, but I continued. I pounded at the wall, again, until a good part of it collapsed. I dropped the hammer, sinking to my knees. Oh my God. There was a bedroom. There was a bedroom, hidden behind this wall where nobody could see it. I stepped over the rubble, barely noticing that Haley was following me. It was a baby's nursery furniture took up the room, most of it caked in dust, as if no one had touched it in a long time. A rocking chair sat in the corner, and a crib sat along the opposite wall. There were no windows either. A bookshelf was next to me, lined with toys and books. But not only that, a large book sat at the end. I plucked it from the shelf, wiping the grime and dust away to reveal the title. Baby's First Year. It read. What is this? Haley wondered as she explored the room. I shook my head slowly as I opened the book. I didn't know. The first page had a picture taped to it. A black and white photo of a baby girl was taped to the page, and the name under was written as Olivia Bethany Cordell. The baby was cute, but she looked off like she had a physical deformity of some sort. I couldn't say what kind. I flipped the page, finding a birth date listed, October 23rd, 1972. The following details aren't really important. As I look at it now, just ages of milestones and things like that. May. Haley was standing next to the crib, and over her mouth was a terrified expression masking her face as she peered into it. I dropped the book, going to stand next to her. I peered into the crib as well, and I went white with shock. Oh God. Baby bones, they were fully decayed, but the whole skeletal structure was there from the skull to the tiny toe bones. Everything. That did it. We both left the house as fast as we could, going back to Haley's house. I couldn't take it. I couldn't stay there anymore. I spent the night. Taking the couch the next morning was tense. Neither I nor Haley said a word, but I did borrow her computer. I decided to just throw caution to the wind, searching my address. I didn't find much, but I did find a news article. I started reading it, taking every word in. Here. I'll relay the article the best that I can. It has since been removed for reasons unknown to me. Family disappears. Father found. Local authorities contacted May 17, 1972. The Cordell family of 1240, 7 South Broadway Street went missing last Wednesday after the neighbors reported screaming. When authorities arrived, the house was empty. The persons missing are David Cordell, 33, Patricia Cordell, 30, and Tate Cordell, 7. David was found and brought in for questioning 3 days ago, but the rest of the family has yet to be found. Cordell admitted to leaving his 7-month-old daughter, Olivia Cordell, who was diagnosed as a mongoloid recently renamed to Down syndrome, in the house. Police could not find the little girl upon searching the house, but the case is ongoing and is still being investigated. I have moved back into the house since then, and I am still living there today as I write this. I contacted the police and told them about the body, and they took the bones to be properly put to rest. I haven't had anything happen since, and I'm grateful for that. A terrible thing had happened here. A baby had been left to die, which she did, all because the room had been hidden. I decided to keep the room as it is, but I have had a contractor come out and repair the wall and install a door since then. Who knows? The nursery might make a great room for my baby in 7 months.